What's up, guys? Fish Tank Dave here, and today is actually the first video for this channel, which is actually amazing. I do have another gaming channel if you're interested in that, which link will be in the description below. But I've been into the aquarium hobby for just over a year now. I was into the hobby way back in the day, and I got reignited back into it, and I've had a lot of success. Today's video, I want to talk about cherry shrimp and actually how to breed cherry shrimp. Now let's take a look at my 10-gallon here. We're actually going to be looking at both 10-gallon tanks that I have in my bedroom. So as you guys can see here, this is my one 10-gallon tank. I started out with 6 cherry shrimp. Okay, so keep that in mind. 6 6 cherry shrimp. And as you can see, there is probably somewhere around the range of 300 in there right now. Now what's funny is I started breeding these fish, or well, these automatic timer got me. Whoops. Okay. Automatic timer got me. So I started actually breeding these invertebrates for profit. I kind of saw these videos out on YouTube talking about, you know, breeding for profit, breeding, you know, with a live bearer and then shrimp and you know, kind of going and doing all of that. And you can see, I mean, these guys are gorgeous. And I have to say that cherry shrimp in general have grown on me in the hobby. And you know, now I'm really into it. These 2 tanks right here are 2 of my favorite tanks in my entire fish collection. You know, I have 9 tanks. You know, eventually on the channel we'll go through all of those tanks, but as of right now, I mean, these two tanks are 2 of my favorite tanks in, you know, for all of my aquariums. So let's get into some of the tips. Now the first tip I'm going to say is no fish. And it depends what you're going for. If you're trying to breed or you're trying to add shrimp as just like, hey, here's a pop of color in the tank, then it's fine to keep them with fish. But because you know, if you look really close, let me see if I can find one. Let me find a baby. Yeah, let's look here. See how small. I'm trying to focus in on it. See how incredibly small these babies are. I mean, I'm telling you right now, this is my finger. Look. That's how small that baby is. Okay, so when they're first, you know, hatch out, they can easily be eaten by even celestial pearl danios. You know, those are tiny fish. I actually used to keep CPDs in this tank right here. So first tip, don't put them with any other fish if you are planning on trying to get a colony like you see here. If you are trying to just add a pop of color or things like that, then it's okay to keep with, you know, other fish. But you're just going to have to accept that, you know, some of the baby shrimps are going to get eaten by the fish. I don't care how small they are. You know, it doesn't really matter how small. These baby shrimp are so small when they're first hatching. So, yeah. So, tip number 2 is going to be tank maintenance. And this kind of goes along with also why you don't want to keep them with fish. I change the water in this tank. About 20%, 25% of the water is changed every 3 to 4 weeks. So really, it's basically once a month I'm changing the water in these tanks. And I actually found that if you just leave these guys alone, they breed for you. They will just, you know, they'll breed for you. They will you know, reproduce, and it's almost like, hey, you neglect them, they actually do better. As funny as that sounds. Also, this rock in the back here, which I might get a couple questions on, that's actually, I think that's either fossilized Petoskey stone, or it's a fossil. It kind of looks like fossilized honeycomb too. I found that in my garden actually, and since it had that like honeycomb type look, I thought it fit perfect in this tank. So if you keep them with fish, obviously you're going to want to change the water more often than you would. You know, you want to change the water every once a week or every 2 weeks at the latest. You know, which these shrimp don't really like change. They don't like things changing on them a lot. They want things to kind of stay the same. So changing the water every 3 weeks or so, you know, if you're changing the water all the time, it kind of resets things. they don't like a lot of change. They want to be, these shrimp want to be very comfortable when they start breeding, and if once they're comfortable, you will see an explosion like this. I mean, it took probably 4 months, and then out of nowhere, I saw hundreds of shrimp. Hundreds. Now every day you're seeing tons of babies all over the place, all over the glass. When before, you know, when fish were in here, you know, you don't see this type of activity. I don't know if you could tell. They're just all flying around, having fun. You can tell they enjoy this tank. They go around. They're not this active when fish are in the tank with them. I highly recommend to keep them with only shrimp. No other snails, not even an algae eater, like literally nothing. Just keep them with themselves. Change water every 3 weeks or so, and they'll be happy. Also, another tip is you don't actually need a heater with these guys. They don't like hot. They actually prefer it to be cooler. So I don't put heaters in this tank or this tank. I've been kind of showing you glimpses of this tank, but these guys are my Blue Dream Neurocaridina, which are the same exact species as the cherry shrimp. Exactly the same, except for the fact that these guys are, you know, obviously red, and these guys are blue. These are just a variation of them. These blue shrimp have just started to actually, you can see here, let me zoom in. You can see there that they just started. Now I'm just starting to see babies everywhere. The other day I counted over 50 and then I stopped. So this tank is starting to do the exact same thing. And up until recently I had Galaxy Rasboras or CPDs in this tank. And even with those tiny nano fish, they were not producing well. It took them a really long time to actually produce. And learning my lesson now, it's like, you know what? I would have had a bigger population sooner if I would have just taken the fish out of these tanks. And these ones ended up having the endlers at first, which I can show in another video, but the endlers, you know, the endlers, they started picking at the little baby shrimp, and I noticed it, and I decided to pull them out of there. So that's why, you know, I pulled them out of there. So that's another tip. You know, no heater needed. No heater in either one of these. I actually tested the water. The temperature is about 65 degrees, 68 degrees, something like that. Basically room temperature, and they're good like that all year round. So low maintenance, super low maintenance. Also, in each one of these tanks, you'll see it's just a sponge filter in the back corner there. That's it. That's the only thing that's in these tanks is a sponge filter. Which even makes it more low maintenance. The lights that I'm using here are actually Amazon special. These are the Night Crew lights. Don't be fooled. They grow plants. Trust me. As you can see here, you can see the Guppy grass collection. I actually have to clean that out soon. It is like wall to wall filled. I mean, this is filled to the brim with Guppy grass. I'm actually going to probably take some out of here and put it into there to actually increase the size, you know, and give these guys more cover, because that's the only thing that really survived plant-wise here. They really do like duckweed. At the top here you can see, I'll open this up, you can see it's just filled. I mean, it is literally filled with duckweed. It's filled with duckweed. Oh wait, there's some, I just noticed there's some food that were stuck at the top here that I put in there earlier. So I'm just tapping that in, look. Oh. Oh, I didn't realize there was that much food just sitting up there. Wow, I thought it would have fallen by now, but so that's how much that's how much food was up there. Okay, so next we're going to talk about feeding. And I will get to the actual parameters of what my tank is, like everything. I actually tested it the other day. Speaking of, let's go here. Check these guys out too. Make sure there's not a bunch. Okay. So one of my main go-to foods is actually this fluval shrimp granules. Okay. Focus. Okay. Fluval shrimp granules. That's one of my main food sources. I like to feed them a variety of different things. I use the just Tetra Min tropical flakes. So that's another thing, the feeding. You want to make sure that you guys are actually feeding these guys once a day. You do not want to overfeed them, but you do want to make sure you're feeding them something. So one day I'll feed, like, a pinch of tropical flakes. One day I will feed, the fluval shrimp food, which is what you're seeing right here. Another day I'll throw some steamed broccoli in there. Broccoli has a lot of calcium in it, which is really good for their shells and things like that. I actually think I got a winning combination here with everything that I've kind of figured out over time. So my water parameters. If you have soft water, you may not have what you need. My pH out of the tap here is about 7.2, around there. My KH is 5, and my GH is 11. So very... That general hardness is 11. You're talking, that's hard. That's like on the upper scale of hardness. And I think that's why these guys have been doing so incredibly well for me. I even have a good colony of mystery snails that have been growing like crazy. I got them from an auction last year, and they're just going nuts. And I think anything vertebrate-wise is like doing extremely well for me, and I think it's because of the hardness of the water. The Caridina shrimp, which I don't have any of those yet, I think they like the softer water, I believe, and lower pH. And I basically haven't gotten to that point in the hobby where I want to keep those. I'm actually completely content with getting different variations of cherry shrimp. I also have jade shrimp downstairs and an orange variety downstairs as well in my basement. So let's go over here and take a better look at these guys. All right, let's get a better look at these guys. We'll look at these guys for a little bit. These guys are gorgeous, by the way. I actually took a chance and got them off of eBay, and they're labeled as Blue Dream Neocaridina, and they've been awesome for me. Completely awesome. They're gorgeous. Even the babies are so blue. You can see here. Yeah, I mean, these are definitely higher grade than the cherry shrimp I have. The cherry shrimp I have look good. Don't get me wrong. But these guys are absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, that's basically the main tips I have for you guys today. Is keep them alone. Make sure you're not changing the water too often. If anything, you want to wait longer. Keep them by themselves because other fish are not going to appreciate you changing the water once a month. Filtration. Obviously, some people use matin filters as well. You can see a bunch of cherry shrimp on the back on that sponge filter. They're doing great. There's lots of microbacteria and things like that they eat off of the back of that. And, obviously there's a ton, and it's hard to tell, but they hang upside down all over the place on this duckweed, and it happens in both tanks. They are eating it like crazy. Give them a varied diet. Try to give them, fish flakes one day, shrimp food another day. Zucchini is also good, like blanched zucchini without the skin is also good. Steamed broccoli is good. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, obviously, if you're questioning something, you should look it up. But I've only really fed broccoli and zucchini to these guys, and they love broccoli. The other day I put 3 huge pieces in here, and within probably 4 days it was gone. So, and even in here with the blue guys, I put a couple in there, and I could see all the babies all over it and all that stuff. So they did a really good job on cleaning it up and getting it all done. So that is basically it for the first video. I think I've given you enough tips, enough ammunition that you guys need to be successful with cherry shrimp. As you can see, my colony is just basically booming. Both tanks are doing well. I think eventually I would like to sell all of these guys. Right now I'm selling them locally and to like local pet stores and local hobbyists. But there will come a time on the channel where I will be trying to actually sell these cherry shrimp one day, or even the Blue Dream shrimp as well. I mean, that's the goal. The future for this channel is I actually am building a fish room downstairs in my basement. The walls are already up. I'm actually going to be buying a pump and all these other things, and buying racks and getting a central air set up in there, probably heating the room. Unless I go with a lot more shrimp. If I go with a lot more shrimp, I may just not even heat the room, just leave it at room temperature and just put heaters in the tanks that I need. So that's something to look forward to in the future. I do want to do a video where I do kind of a tour of all of my fish tanks and kind of show you everything that I've been doing. And yeah, so anyway guys, that is going to do it for the first video for Fish Tank Dave. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. If it's your first time here, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.